Hello again. In this video, I'd like to talk to you about how I make present perfect. How do we make this verb tense? I notice in the book it doesn't really address that, and so I wanted to talk a little bit about that before we start talking about what they mean, what this verb tense means. So in this video, we're going to talk about just how do I make present perfect. In the next videos, the next few videos, we're going to start talking about what does present perfect mean, because it can mean different things when we use it differently. Okay, so if you're wondering what does present perfect mean, please be patient. We will get to that question. But for right now, let's talk about how do I make present perfect. Okay, present perfect, just as a general rule, the way I make present perfect is I use have plus past participle. And you remember that we talked about what past participle was in the last video on irregular verbs. Okay? So the past participle is the form of the verb that goes with have. So I might say, eat. John eats, I eat breakfast every day. Past would be I ate breakfast yesterday. And then the past participle would be I have eaten. Eaten is the form that goes with have. Okay, let's take a look at how I would make present perfect in these sentences. So take a look at this sentence here. Norton Blank studied Chinese for 3 years. Okay? And let's say I know I want to use present perfect here. So I'm going to use have and past participle. So take a moment and think. Here, my subject is Norton. Here's my subject is Norton. What form of have will I use with Norton? In other words, will I use Norton have or Norton has? Take a minute and think. Pause the video if you want. Okay. So I'm going to use have. I know I'm going to use have plus past participle because have and past participle is the way that I write present perfect. For Norton, the form of have that I will need to use will be has, because Norton is a he, a she, or an it. So he, she, it will use has. Everything else, I, you, we, they, will use have. And then I write the past participle. The past participle of study is a regular verb in English, so it just makes past with ed. So I could say, Norton has studied Chinese for 3 years. And again, we're not going to talk much about in fact, we're not going to talk at all about what this means for now, but we will start talking about that in the next video. Now, this is how I make a statement. If I want to make a negative statement in present perfect, it's very easy to do. I just add the word not right here. So I could say, Norton has not, and I just put not right here after have, studied Chinese for 3 years. So, he has not studied Chinese for 3 years. Maybe he has studied Chinese for 4 years. Or maybe he has studied Vietnamese for 3 years. But we know that he has not studied Chinese for 3 years. And that's a negative statement. And then the last kind of sentence that we're going to talk about is a question. How do I make a question in present perfect? Again, to make a question in present perfect, Very easy. I just take the first word of the verb, has, and I'll move it to the front. Okay? So I would say, has Norton studied Chinese for 3 years? Okay? And that's my basic question. Has Norton studied Chinese? I just take the has that was here and I move it in front. Okay. If I want to write another kind of question, if I want to ask another kind of question, like I want to know where, I want to know the place, I can put the question word up in front and I could say, where has Norton studied Chinese for 3 years? Or if I want to know the reason, I can say why. Or if I want to know what way did he do it? Did he go to school? Did he learn it with his friends? Did he study online? I might say how has Norton studied Chinese for 3 years? So if I want to ask a different kind of question, I'll just put the question word in front. Okay? Let's do another one up here. Because I know you can rewind the tape, or not the tape, but rewind the video, I'm going to erase this. And I'm going to ask you to take a look at this sentence. Twee and Maria blank go home. I would like you to complete this sentence using present perfect. So we're going to use the verb go in present perfect and write it here. So this will be a statement. Please either just in your mind or write it on a piece of paper, or if you're sitting next to someone, tell them what should go here. Pause if you need to. Okay, now I remember that present perfect uses have and past participle. So again, I know for present perfect I'll use have plus past participle. Now, for Twee and Maria, that's 2 people, that's a they. So, what form of have will I use? Well, remember that we said he, she, it uses has, but everything else, I, you, we, they, will use have. So, Twee and Maria, it's a they, more than 2 people, or 2 people. So I will say have, not have, has. And then, past participle of go is gone. Very good. Now, next question for you. How would I make this a negative statement? How would I say this is not true, this did not happen? Twee and Maria are still here. Maybe they're still sitting in class. So, how would I make this negative? Take a minute and think. You can either say it in your mind or you can write it down, but come up with an answer. Okay. You can pause if you want to while I'm writing here. Okay, so let's see here. All right, so, and let's make this negative. So to make a negative statement, if you remember, very easy, the way that I do that is I just add the word not in the middle. So I would say, Twee and Maria, and so here I'll use, to make it negative, I'll use have plus not plus past participle. So I would say, Twee and Maria have not. And then past participle of go is gone. Twee and Maria have not gone home. Or I can make this shorter, you probably know that, and say, they haven't gone home. Okay? Now, let's do one more. Let's see here. I'm going to ask you to try to make a question. So, and let me just erase this. And I'll put a question mark at the end. Now, what I'd like to ask you to do is take Twee and Maria and go and use those to make a question with present perfect. Take a moment and pause the video if you need to do that. Okay. You remember that the way that I make a question in present perfect, if I say, John has called me. John has called me. The way that I make a question is I take the has and I move it to the front. Has John called me? So the way I make a question is I move has or have to the front. So here, what's the first word I'm going to write? The first word I'm going to write is have, because I take have and I move it to the front. Then I say, Twee and Maria, I add the subject. Subject. And then I use the past participle. And I say gone. So to make a question, I'll use have plus subject. Well, did I write Twee and subject there? I sure did. I was thinking about subjects. So have plus the subject is Twee and Maria, the people or things that do the action, plus past participle. Okay. Now, I went over that pretty quickly. If you would like to study this more or go over it more, I really recommend finding my free book online, downloading that, and looking at the section on how do I make present perfect. Again, if you want to find it, you can do a web search for my name, Kent Uchiyama, verb tenses, and you'll find where it's stored on Chabot College's ESL website. And so if you'd like some more practice, or you just like, no, not more practice, but if you'd like to read more and to have this explained a bit more, then you can go ahead and download that. Okay, that's all for this video. And in the next video, we'll start talking about the meanings of present perfect.